This is just another further video in relation to ACC, and I want to explain that it's like dealing with a killer virus. It really is. It's everyone who's involved just becomes another strain onto this killer disease mentality and actions. You know, some of the strains of this disease are just killers, and other strains are just infectious. You have to look at the overall aspect of what these people are trying to achieve, and Crown and government in New Zealand, because the fear and violence aspect that's instigated by the killers is it's all about attacking you, the victim. It's all about bullying you, abusing you, threatening you, intimidating you, literally trying to wear you down in all aspects of your life, while they have you criminally controlled and criminally contained. And because fear and violence is, it is a serious issue. I mean, to accuse someone of it it's just the most evil thing you can do whenever you're the one actually instigating it, and you're doing it from a position of power. So that gives you the strength and it gives you the support and the help and the assistance, and you're using Crown and taxpayers' money to actually carry out your crimes against your victims. But when you get corrupt medical professionals, the likes of medical experts, Reese Tapsell, who literally are trained to, they're trained to look for mental illnesses, they're trained to look for different aspects of your life. I mean, they say, like, I call them master manipulators of people's minds and people's lives, because when you're in front of people like that, you don't have any control. They're asking all the questions, but when you question them, it's a completely different scenario. They're completely uncomfortable. They're completely out of their ballpark. But when they're actually covering up the crimes of other people and not writing it up in their reports, this is where the victim becomes truly infected by this killer disease. I would class all these people as a nuclear bomb in themselves. When they all come together, it's like they're just an explosion into your life, and they just want to blow you to smithereens. It's probably stress and trauma and anxiety and negativity and torment and torture and abuse and threats and intimidation and violence. It's probably the biggest killer disease in the world, and this is what New Zealand's run by. A killer disease. It's like they're like toxic waste. People who are frightened to sit down in front of a video camera and write up the reports from that, to actually show who the person is and who the person you're talking to. What I've discovered about New Zealand is New Zealand uses mental and psychiatric lines of attack to attack their victims. These people are supposed to be medical professionals who are meant to be looking after your best interests and restoring your life to its former being. I could never understand why my life as an injured person in New Zealand led to attacking my nationality, violating my childhood, violating my family, violating my friends, wanting to know everything, acquaintances, blah blah blah. I could never understand that. Like, what did any of this have to do with addressing my injuries, so to speak? So these are the type of things that you actually go through. I mean, they try and label you with your nationality and what you've actually put up with. They try to involve you in things you're not even involved in. That's just how these scum and lowlifes work. They're attacking all the negativity. But for people from the north of Ireland, if you have injuries in New Zealand, this is going to be their line of attack if they fuck it up. Believe you me, these people do not manage your case. They don't look after your injuries. They don't restore you to the best you can be. They don't look to restore you to the best you can be. They look to isolate you, alienate you, slander you, label you, defame you. They look to attack you and implement all this negativity into your life. While they harass you, criminally harass you, stalk you, slander you, label you, defame you. Security or private investigators come to your house with trespass notices for no reason whatsoever, and then trying to kick your door in. You know, it's and all these things are covered up by forensic psychiatrists. Everything's done behind your back. Everything's controlled behind your back. It's organized crime. Definitely wouldn't get a look in. And the Human Rights Commission is a disgrace. They told me to take up refugee status in another country. The Ombudsman's Office haven't done any investigations into the criminality and corruption, because Ailsa Duffy QC did her report and left out all the gory details, as did Rhys Tapsell, forensic psychiatrist. And I didn't see another forensic psychiatrist, I think, for about 6 years after I entered the agreement with them. And that was Tipu Amir. Tipu Amir, he just got caught in the middle of something that he didn't fully understand. And, you know, I feel for him in that regard, because he's quite a nice guy. But at the end of the day, he's been controlled by powers beyond his control, beyond my control. And the reason that they're being able to control it is because Rhys Tapsell did it all wrong to begin with. My case proves that a forensic psychiatrist training is complete and utter bollocks, right? They want to be mind readers. Well, they're not mind readers. They're just human beings who think that they know better than everybody else. Jesus, even I could diagnose someone with a mental illness, you know? And I certainly didn't have one of those. Nor did I have a brain injury. Nor did I threaten anyone. That's the whole problem in this case, is that these vigilantes in positions of power hide behind fear and violence, while they're isolating you, alienating you, singling you out, harassing you, stalking you. It's like, it's a living hell, right? But when you've got an ACC advocate who's supposed to be dealing with all this and addressing all this, either he's inexperienced or he just didn't have the know-how how to deal with it, or I didn't have the money and resources to actually fund it all. So I don't really blame him for that. But not keeping me informed, not addressing everything for me that he should have been addressing, not taking up reviews and appeals that he should have been taking up, that just left me in a situation of vulnerability at all times. So your life's turned into their prisoner, and because you're under the New Zealand government, they just want to spoon feed you shit and then claim, oh, that's all you're entitled to, when in actual fact you're entitled to have all your injuries addressed and properly investigated. But how these people work is they try and put everything under one label, chronic pain, and then try and say that everything is the cause of that, even the injuries you haven't even received yet, at their hands, by the way. But these people are, they don't want you to have the right to speak. They don't want you to have the right to be heard. They don't want you to have any investigation into their corruption and criminality. And yeah, they literally hold you criminally to blackmail and to ransom, and they call it rehabilitation. It's a joke shop. Everyone who becomes involved is just part of this infection. You know, it's to place anybody in that situation. It's bullying, it's intimidation, it's harassment, it's criminal harassment. It's to basically single you out so that you're always on the back foot, because these people don't open themselves up. The other problem with this aspect is that there's no legal steps taken, that all such lines of attack should be video recorded for matter of fact and record. And there's no legal avenues for addressing the abuse, threats, intimidation, violence, the vigilantism, the malicious actions of those in power, because the legislation doesn't cover it. They're two separate issues. And this is the whole problem with the case, is that you've got criminality on one hand, and then you've got a pretense of running rehabilitation on the other. And this is what these lawyers in ACC, headed by Gerard McGreevy, whose crimes were assisted by Mike Heron, by Quentin Doig, ex-detective, by Mel Smith, Ombudsman, John Belgrave, Ombudsman, Beverly Wakeham, Ombudsman. John Belgrave was Chief Ombudsman. Yeah, he carried it. Beverly Wakeham then became the Chief Ombudsman, and she's just the biggest liar under the sun. You know, it's when people are actually telling you need a gun to resolve this, that's a very serious issue. And this is what these people play at. They're all about violence and fear, and this is the whole point of attacking your nationality. So, and then trying to label you in every way known to man that they can actually label you. I mean, to keep your patience is very hard. But if you're smart enough, you can keep your patience. To have to defend yourself against all these ridiculous lines of attack that's just torture. That's just everyone looking to criminally provoke an outcome so they can have control of it. That's how these scum of this earth bastards work. And I'm not here to pretend I'm Mr. Nice Guy, you know what I mean? But I am a nice guy. I don't go out to start trouble. I don't get involved in all this criminality and all this bullshit. And I just try to live a normal life. And I'm being denied that right. And I will not accept being under the vigilante state terrorist controls of these terrorists, because they're nothing but a killer disease. They're educated people. They don't make mistakes. They commit crimes. And I personally think that everything that I've tried to do to end this peacefully, even entering into an agreement with them in 2006 that was supposed to get me the best medical treatment money could buy, that was supposed to have everything corrected to what it should have been, which then got turned into an even bigger line of attack by these vigilantes and these state terrorists. And, you know, it's like everything's personal with them. But I want to get to this point. Like, I spoke to David Hepbury, who was my ACC advocate. Nobody else will take this case on, and there's no money left to take anybody on. He's the only one who has knowledge of this case, so I think he's just trying to work on keeping me entitled, and that's about the height of what he does. In regards to keeping me entitled, you know, he's done his job that way, but that wouldn't have been very hard. Given the extent of my injuries and the fact that they're getting worse and my nervous system is completely stuffed. That's the biggest problem in this case, is that my nervous system is completely stuffed. And, you know, you get the heart palpitations, you've got the chronic pain, you've got the vertigo feelings, but they're not coming from my ears, it's actually coming from my spine. And, you know, you got the fatigue issues, you got the stress issues, you're just worn down. And you get to the stage where David Hepbury says to me just the other day, and I was quite shocked that he actually stated it, but they want a last resort on me. They're not going to settle for anything else other than last resorts, because that way it costs me everything I've got, and my life, and or my freedom, and they say if I manage to live through it. But at the end of the day, they declared this an act of war against me, and this is the situation, whether I like it or not. I have no control over it. I've never had any control over it. They've taken complete control away from me. As I said before, there's human rights issues involved in this case. There are privacy issues involved in this case. There's the Independent Police Complaints Authority not doing their jobs in this case.